Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video here on the channel. Today we're going over NASCAR NXT, whatever it's going to be called, NASCAR 21 ideas and whatnot. So what I did recently is I went on the 704 NASCAR Heat subreddit and made this post right here to just kind of give me some ideas of what you would like to see with the future NASCAR games, not just this next one, but the ones in the future as well. So we're going to be looking through your ideas on here, and as well as I made a YouTube post literally today, so there's going to be a handful on there to look at. So we're just going to be going through them and seeing what you guys have come up with. Just a heads up, I actually have my own subreddit coming on the way as well. Very excited to get that going, or up and going now, as we're going to check out a lot of your guys' ideas. So the top one here had 15 up votes, so we're going to look through this one here. As the first thing it says, actual crashes, not just blown tires. That's something, of course, I would like to see as well. You see right now in current NASCAR games, it's basically just an engine failure or a blown tire that causes an incident. What we want to see is more of the AI make mistakes, and say at a road course, maybe someone brakes a little bit late, locks their tires up, and next thing you know, there's a car in front of them and they hit them, around they go, two-car incident or something. Just it adds to the immersion levels, and it of course just can create a lot of drama, and just, I mean, that's just how racing works. And I mean, when you come to ovals as well, say someone just straight up loses control of their car with the low downforce package at Darlington or something like that. Someone just straight up loses control and around they go, brings out a caution, changes up a lot in the race, because right now all we really have bringing out those cautions, like this guy says right here, not just blown tires. That's what it is. And we want these guys, the AI, to just straight up make mistakes and not have to have a failure to kind of cause these incidents that they're having now. Signing drivers to your team. So this is, of course, a career mode situation. 100% down for that as well. That's something I've been asking for years and years as a NASCAR gamer. Is you can start a team right now in your career mode. Xfinity team, truck team, Cup Series team, whatever, you name it. You can start a team in any series, but you have to drive for your own team, and that is always the one thing that drives me away from starting a team. Of course, I found some workarounds and whatnot with my career mode series, but an actual proper system, instead of forcing myself to drive for my own team, give me an opportunity to be like Denny Hamlin, where I drive for Joe Gibbs Racing, but start up my own team on the side, and I can sign a driver to that. Now, F1 2020 had that My Team feature. You still had to drive for your own team, but obviously with a second car, you're still able to hire a driver. But I would 100% like to just be able to sign a driver to my team, but not only just have a one-car team, but be able to expand to a two-car team, three-car, up to four-car teams, so that way I can have a fully fledged out top tier NASCAR Cup Series team in my career mode, like a Hendrick Motorsports, like a Joe Gibbs Racing, and I can hire 4 different drivers to my team, but allow us to go even deeper into that system where we have to hire crew chiefs, spotters, even just all the pit crew members. Just give us that option of just to dive in deeper with the immersion. That would just be huge for NASCAR gaming as well. And I would love to see that type of stuff added. Silly season, if not that, just allow us to edit driver names. So of course, that's kind of giving off the whole allow drivers to change teams and whatnot. And you see myself do that currently in my career mode series, but unfortunately I have to mod the game to do that, and basically I just edit a driver's name, which is right there. Allow us to edit driver names and whatnot. So that would be, of course, really cool. F1 was able to pull that off as well, where you see Lewis Hamilton, he can go from Mercedes and jump over into a Haas or something, or a Williams, or a McLaren, or an Aston Martin if he wanted to. But unfortunately, currently, we don't have that in NASCAR gaming, but that would be a huge thing to have, and that would just continue the replayability of a career mode in future NASCAR games. Cars not flipping when they get hit while spinning. That's something that I've noticed, of course, happen while you'll see, I don't know, in my career mode videos, that it's an example. A car just blows the tire, they go around, and they pretty much catapult off of the car that hits them. Definitely, that's more of a physics thing that needs to be improved, and I'm confident that's definitely going to be something that's improved in the next NASCAR game in the future anyways. Not throwing a caution right away after a caution, allow time to avoid the crash. That's a nice little addition that I would actually really like to see, as it gives you more time to not only avoid the crash, but it also gives you more time to potentially get involved in the crash. So it adds more. If you delay the caution, it allows the player to have a little bit more control of what he does. Of course, obviously, in terms of avoiding or getting involved, and it could completely change the outcome of the race by giving them a little bit more control. I guess there you see realistic mode where you can manually pit, drive under caution. That's kind of the same thing. Honestly, just manual driving all the way around, and that would be a big thing, obviously, with the NASCAR games, which is something we currently don't have. So not even so when the caution comes out, basically it just allows us to keep on driving like iRacing and whatnot. And we saw the news recently with Studio 397 being acquired by Motorsport Games. You know, they've been working together for quite some time now for getting this next NASCAR game underway. I personally think that we will see manual driving under pit lane, under cautions. It just by seeing the way they're going over there with this next NASCAR game, I think we're going to see it. No confirmation, of course. We really don't know anything about this new game yet, other than the whole Studio 397, and the game will be using R-Factor 2 physics and whatnot. But I think that's something we're going to see in the next NASCAR game, or Drive in the Garage as well, as mentioned there. And then his last point, league mode, which makes it easier to find / join leagues. Pretty self-explanatory. You see stuff like that in the iRacing system and whatnot, and I think that'd be just a nice little feature there in the future of NASCAR gaming. So that was the most upvoted comment I saw there, and I pretty much agreed with every single thing right there. Now, is I think paint should be able to come off when hitting the wall. That's just a nice little addition that would add to the immersion and just to the realism and just overall just coolness of the game. Is just, if you go into Darlington, you know, you're known for hitting the wall there. When you hit the wall currently, absolutely nothing happens. You get a little bit of visual damage. You'll see some dents and whatnot, and the car kind of crumples up, but you don't see the paint get scratched off, and you don't see the wall get affected by that either. I would love to just see the right side of my car get all scratched up and the paint wears off, and as well as it adds a bit of a stripe to the wall where you hit that wall. That would just be a nice little immersion addition, as well as happy birthday to this guy, by the way. Now, as a proper silly season once again gets brought up, and a team owner mode where you can actually hire other drivers. So it's the second time we've seen that point come up now. As hello there, Gary. I've had this idea for like 2 seconds, but a Legend series, kind of like the Dirt series in your NH5 season, but with drivers like Richard Petty, David Pearson, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, all the legends at the same time. It would be really fun, at least for me. Just kind of like where you see now in NASCAR Heat 4, we had Jeff Gordon brought into the game, but it was in a Cup Series car. Tony Stewart in NASCAR Heat 5 with the 14 car. Those were really cool additions, but just kind of like a fantasy classic series where you have past legends of the sport, and you can just race all as them and do a whole season, maybe at fantasy tracks or something, or past historic tracks. That would be all kind of cool as well. So that's a nice little feature that would be just a nice little addition, and sometime down the line here in NASCAR gaming. Custom liveries and designs, something like Gran Turismo Sport where you can upload your own decals. This is something definitely that needs to happen in future NASCAR games as well, where you have Forza Motorsport has a really good paint scheme designing system where you can design logos, you can upload those logos for other people to use, and then of course you can put those into your paint schemes, and then when you design a scheme you can save and upload that for other people to use as well. And obviously you see that with iRacing, like this guy mentioned right here, Gran Turismo Sport as well. That's something that really needs to be in the future of NASCAR games for sure. We saw a pretty good paint booth back in NASCAR 13 or NASCAR 14, sorry, NASCAR 15. They had a great paint booth. I spent so much time, probably it was pretty split 50-50 between the time I spent racing on NASCAR 14 and 15 and actually painting cars, because it was so much fun to sit down for a few hours and come up with a paint scheme design myself, like a unique one, or as well replicate a real life paint scheme into the game as well, and then design logos, numbers, sponsors, all that type of stuff. It was a really good way to spend time as well. And I mean, you don't even have to race. You can just straight up design paint schemes the whole time when you're on one of those NASCAR games. So that's another thing that would be really cool. And as well, not only that, but NASCAR 15 had a cool little feature where those paint schemes you designed in the paint booth, you can actually bring those into your career mode. That is something that would be really cool, as well as if they could bring that type of system back in as well. And then we have an actual silly season would be nice, something similar to how NASCAR Thunder 2004 works with drivers retiring and fantasy drivers taking the open spot, except I'd like to see Xfinity / truck drivers taking spots that are open. So that's the third time we've seen that. We know so many people really want that, including myself. We have a very long one to go through right here. So a teammate like F1 2020 would be good. Real life driving example, Logano blocks aggressively, as does Chastain. So you kind of see real life characteristics from these drivers play into the game. Denny Hamlin is annoyingly fast. As a Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez fan, I like to see that Denny Hamlin one there. But yeah, I mean, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain are known for very aggressive blocks, not just plate tracks, but any single track on the planet. You'll see them both block all the way across the track to do anything to keep you behind them. And just seeing basically real life characteristics from a driver play into their AI would just be a nice addition in future games, where you see maybe Kyle Larson running up all the way by that wall, or Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe up on that wall more often than the normal AI driver. And you see Logano in the 22 or Chastain in the 42 throwing massive blocks like they do in real life, and just adding that, and then I get the opportunity to just dump Joey Logano or Ross Chastain in the next corner if they throw a huge block on myself. It'd be really cool. Obviously, speaking of that, you just dump a guy into the corner because he throws a huge block. The damage, would love to see a more realistic damage system and whatnot, and maybe where you can blow out your fuel cell and whatnot and just have legitimate DNFs in the game. And that would just be another thing that I would really like to see. An actual spotter and crew chief. So I guess I'm not sure if that means just more like an improved spotter and crew chief or something like that. Pitting under caution. We can already do that, actually. I mean, I'm not sure if he means maybe where it actually goes through the sequence of the pit stop and whatnot. Pre-race intro like NASCAR Heat 2. That I would like to see. F1, once again, Codemasters does an incredible job with their pre-race stuff, and that's something I would like to see brought over into the NASCAR side of stuff. A fully fledged, like 1 minute long to 2 minutes long, just introduction into the race. It goes through the starting grid, but you still have the option, of course, to skip it and whatnot. That'd be really cool. More legend drivers. We saw that ARCA series. So we're going to talk about series for a minute. Truck series, Xfinity series, Cup series, of course, the three main series that we need. Honestly, I think you can make an incredible NASCAR game with just a Cup series, but still the Trucks and Xfinity series are a great addition. But instead of the Dirt series, you can keep the Dirt series, but at least add a pavement option on the same level, because not everybody wants to start in dirt racing. I myself would much rather choose a pavement side of racing to start instead of the Dirt series. So I think there should be like two options there, and we had the Dirt series, and then you could add the ARCA series as the kind of competitor to that instead. So now, as ARCA has one good, or has a really good development programs where you can either follow the pipeline or leave the development programs. That's another good one. Currently, we don't have anything like that. You know, you can go from trucks at GMS. You can hop over to Joe Gibbs when you jump up to Xfinity, and then into the Cup Series, you can go to Chip Ganassi Racing or something. Now, as development programs would be really, really cool. And there's almost a system like that built in to F1, where you start in Formula 2 and you were able to choose your development team, and that would affect the reputation and give you a higher chance of being signed by them once you get out of the whole F2 playthrough kind of section of the game. So if I say choose the Joe Gibbs Racing development program and I start in trucks with Kyle Busch, and I automatically have kind of like an offer if I do well enough from JGR and Xfinity, and same for going from Xfinity to Cup, would be a really cool addition as well. Part-time cars like the 49 isn't there for every race of the schedule, only Daytona. So basically, yeah, there's part-time drivers, and almost like a go-or-go homer type system would be really cool. And it would just kind of add into the just immersion once again. Smaller teams like Premium are actually in the game, and Rick Ware Racing has all 4 cars racing in every race with rotating drivers. Would be just kind of a nice little addition. I doubt we're going to see stuff like that, but it would be kind of cool as well. Wide skill range needs to be wider. The bad cars like the 51, 52 need to be 20 laps down by lap 100 at Homestead, Miami. By lap 100, the 51 is only 1 lap down by my personal experience. NASCAR 15/14 paint booth, which we kind of touched on as well. There you see some contingency sponsors / changing sponsors throughout the season. For Darlington, maybe an older sponsor that will let you change the paint scheme to throwback. That'd be kind of a neat little addition as well. Not broken super speedway qualifying. Yes, please. Enough said on that one. Custom championship season fix, where when you make your own schedule, you can't see the playoff standings in the regular season. So this is just kind of touching on some fixes in some future games and whatnot that we currently have some issues with in the current games. Ability to turn car engine noise down. I think you can already do that in the sound settings, actually. But I haven't looked into that too much. You have to pay for a charter and salaries, and if you can't secure a charter, qualify better than 30th to make it into a race. Absolutely. If you go to start a team in your career mode, the charter system absolutely should be a thing. You have to pay for the charter, and if you can't, like I said, secure it, you have to qualify better than 30th to make it into a race. That's a nice little addition right there, and a really good idea. I actually love that idea. So 100% agree with that. 100 all the way around car with 100 pit crew should get better than 27th in a cup race at Pocono. When simulating, it should give your average finish at the track to make it fair. Say I got first at Texas one time in career mode, and then 23rd another time in career mode. I should get 12th place at Texas when I simulate it. So I guess just a more fair simulation part when you decide to skip a race. Ability to turn off $1.6 million extra cash at the start of a career. Sprint cars and legacy drivers, likely not going to happen with the sprint cars. A new series, so we're seeing the new series come up a little bit here, either fantasy, retro, or new. Retro idea like Gen 4, just kind of a retro theme would be really cool. A retro pack where you get some old cars and whatnot. Quite a few people do seem to want that as well. And then we see the whole driver transfers and retirements kind of get brought up again. A lot of us really want that for the single player career mode aspect as well. Now, as here we got from this guy right here, changing track conditions based on weather. 100% need and want this in future NASCAR games. Could even add rain on road courses now. 100% need that. And after playing R Factor 2, knowing the relationship Motorsport Games has with Studio 397, I think there's a legitimate possibility we could see rain on road courses in either the next NASCAR game or in future ones down the road. Improve multi-groove racing, especially on dirt, absolutely there as well. We need that. Crashes, all we get right now is a random spin out to force a caution. So we've seen this brought up already as well. Have the AI be more organic, if that makes sense. Get slow cars out of the racing groove. That's another thing as well. We see a lot of lapped cars kind of ruin races for drivers in my career mode series as well, and that's something that needs to be changed. Almost like they kind of need a blue flag type system. Obviously that's not much of a thing in NASCAR, but it's almost like we actually need that, and it forces those lapped cars to actually just move out of the line and allow the faster cars to go through. Now, as if we're keeping the dirt series, have more tracks, we will never see Richmond filled with dirt, and I don't really enjoy it. More tracks would be kind of cool. Also specific to dirt, make the AI be able to hold a line. Tired of getting door slammed exiting the corner because the car came down from the top lane. Track builder, actually I responded to this one. Track builder would be awesome. I would love a track building system in the game, as you can see, where you can make it work to choose your banking, mold road courses, things like that, custom track lengths. That would be a really cool addition. It would probably be pretty tough to do, but we've seen it happen with other racing games as well, kind of more arcadey racing games. But building our own track would be awesome, and we could just go and take 40 cup cars around it and just see what you can come up with. I mean, you know, just the creativity of what people have. There would be some really realistic ovals, some road courses, but at the same time there'd be some crazy fantasy type tracks, and it would just be a blast to even go and check out other people's creations, and they upload their tracks onto the some community tab in the game, and you can download them, try them out, and then I could have my own video series on trying stuff like that out. More crash avoidance challenges, I would absolutely like to see those as well. Crash replays and a full customizable paint booth again is brought up. So crash replays, would love to see that. We don't really have them, but we do have it kind of in the replay mode. But I guess maybe like right after a cautioner comes out or something like that, they would like to see that. But at the same time, if we have manual driving or something under cautions, we wouldn't really be able to work that in very well. But replays in general, would love just a more in-depth replay system where I can choose any car to watch and spectate from a TV broadcast perspective and just incorporate that into my videos as well. Weather would be cool, like sunshine and cloudy conditions, if they can get the real-life aspect of those conditions, changing the car's handling and the overall physics TBH. So obviously we've gotten the news about the future physics of this game. Very happy with what I've read about Studio 397 and rFactor 2 physics. But yeah, definitely need this weather system where if I am having a good race, say a race starts sunset, ends at nighttime, almost like the Southern 500, my car takes off very well in the sunset or something. Next thing you know, when it starts to get darker, the track conditions change with the temperatures dropping and whatnot, and maybe my car's handling changes for the worse, and all of a sudden I don't have a car capable of winning anymore, and have to stay on top of that by adjusting the car throughout the whole race, making the proper adjustments to keep myself in the fight. And if I don't make those proper adjustments, we throw away a chance at victory. Just adding once again to the realism and immersion of the game. More things customized, or more customized things in the career mode. I start my own team. I want to be able to name it what I want. Absolutely need that. I should be able to hire drivers once again to compete in whatever series I choose and select a certain sponsorship. Shouldn't select the make of the car / the design and whatnot. So just more realistic is basically what this guy wants right here. And the last one on the subreddit thread, it would be awesome if we could drive cup cars on the new Bristol track of dirt instead of just the trucks at Knoxville. So obviously the next NASCAR game is going to have the 2021 schedule, Bristol Dirt Cup Series. It's obviously going to be a thing. So now, though, we're going to jump into a couple of the ideas you guys had on the YouTube post. So I'm seeing some similar things once again over here on YouTube. Driver transfers in career mode. I would eventually like to have, or like manufacturer or team support when you start a new team, or just you have to work through alliances. So not only the charter system, but maybe you can, if you choose Toyota, you have the backing from Toyota, but as well as you sign an alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, and that automatically gives you some better resources to use. And maybe if we have teams that have to do the R&D system like the F1 game, so Joe Gibbs Racing can get worse or better, and if Joe Gibbs Racing gets worse, the equipment they're giving you is even worse, so then you start to fall as well, and you might have to branch away from them. But just a whole R&D aspect would be really cool, where you could see a team like Roush Fenway rise to greatness once again, just through the whole R&D system, and Hendrick Motorsports fall off, or Stewart Haas Racing fall off. Actually, I think Stewart Haas Racing has fallen off in real life, other than Kevin Harvick. But need ARCA once again is brought up, or Asphalt late models or something, not just the Dirt Series as the feeder series. Once again, 100% agreed with that. Would love to see driver movement and schedule changes in the career mode. I think schedule changes is another thing that would be really cool. Don't know if we'll ever see that, but definitely would be a cool thing. Once again, physics are mentioned. Just better physics overall, but after playing rFactor 2, pretty happy with what I felt with the physics there, so I think that's going in a really good direction. Side blowovers, so I guess kind of like Logano or Brendan Gaughan at Talladega, when they go for a spin, they get hit in the side when we're going really fast, and just the way the physics work, it kind of blows that car over. Just, I guess, more realistic physics with the crashing and whatnot. I mean, overall with physics and whatnot, everyone wants some better physics. Ability to expand your team to more drivers, we mentioned this earlier, and own a lower series team without you driving. Career mode should have cutscenes. I agree with that. I think that's more of like to add into a storyline aspect. We saw once again F1 kind of brought that in. I've mentioned F1 a lot because they've done so many things in their game that I would love to see implemented in future NASCAR games, where they had a villain character in the game and they had these fantasy characters in the F1 game brought into the career mode, and they moved their way up into F1 with you, and you had to compete with them throughout the whole career mode. That's something that would be really cool. Just give us a storyline as well. That would just be a nice little addition. Run a few one-off races in the lower series like Kyle Busch. Another thing that'd be really cool. So Kyle Busch owns his own truck team. He does, what, 5 races or so per year in that truck, and then has someone else driving. So a system like that where I don't have to drive my lower series car the whole time, and I can just do select races, like say before the season begins, you get an option to choose what tracks you would like to drive for that season in the lower series if you own a team or assigned to a team, and then you do those ones only, and then they put someone else in the car that either you hired on your own team, or maybe they just have on a normal team the original driver that you're pretty much replacing do the other races or something like that as a part-time schedule type deal. Create a custom road course, so track builder once again. Driving out of the garage, something that's really cool. You can do that in R Factor 2, so hopefully that's a good sign of what could be coming in the next NASCAR game. Driver retirements, driver transfers, cut drivers have a full-time team with 4 drivers owner mode once again, and the ARCA Menard series, which we already were talking about as well. So those are all of the ideas that I saw on the subreddit from you guys and on my YouTube post that I just made today. So we might do a video expanding upon this later down the line when we get a little bit closer to NASCAR 21 or whatever it's called. So if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. But if you have any more ideas, leave those in the comment section below. I'll make sure to read through those. I love hearing your ideas about what you would like, not only in the next NASCAR game, but just future editions of NASCAR games in general. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.